everyone, my name is Bahar and this is my first YouTube video. If you've read the title, then you'll know that this is about the beginning of our Down syndrome journey. I have a daughter, she's 2 years old and her name is Izza and she was born with Down syndrome. Can you say hi? Hi! Say my name is Izza. Who's this? Izza. When I first found out, I was actually looking on YouTube to find other families and to just learn from them, understand Down syndrome better. And all of those videos really helped me throughout my journey. So hopefully this video will be helpful to another family that's going through the same or similar situation as we did. So I'll start with my pregnancy journey. So a lot of the times I get asked if I knew that our daughter had Down syndrome during my pregnancy. And I always respond like, no, we didn't know 100% that she was going to have Down syndrome. We did know that she had the chance of having Down syndrome, but we didn't know 100%. So the first time when we found out that we may have a baby with Down syndrome was when we did the California prenatal screening. And basically they drew my blood and then I scheduled an NT ultrasound, which is the nuchal translucency ultrasound. After the ultrasound was over, the doctor came in to speak to me and my husband, and she told us that our test results came in positive for trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome. And basically, because we had a 1% chance, we were considered high risk. So they told us that anything at 1% or higher is considered high risk. I think at that appointment, me and my husband were just pretty shocked. So after she gave us the results, she told us that they wouldn't know 100% if baby has Down syndrome or not. We would have to do amnio to know for sure, like 100% that she has Down syndrome. But me and my husband knew the small risk that came with amnio and we opted out for it. She did tell us that there were other options for genetic testing, but we opted out on all of them and we decided to just, continue the pregnancy. Didn't want to do any further testing, and we were not planning to terminate the pregnancy because we were just blessed and so grateful to even be pregnant. So the next time that our chances increased was at the anatomy scan. At the anatomy scan, first they told us that we're having a baby girl, which I was super, super happy about because I was always dreaming of having a baby girl. So after the gender was confirmed and the ultrasound was over, the doctor told us that they saw 2 small bright spots on her heart. And they told us that it's nothing to be really concerned about, but it is a soft marker for Down syndrome. So our chances increased again. So it was after that appointment where it kind of hit me that, we may have a baby with Down syndrome. And I think I was just overwhelmed with a lot of emotions. So I was crying and I was researching at the same time. And every time I'd Google, I would learn about the list of all the medical conditions and health problems that came with Down syndrome, and it would just scare me even more. So then I basically stopped, and my husband told me to stop researching and just relax, try to not stress about it. So after the anatomy scan, it wasn't until the third trimester when I had to do an ultrasound again. So after that ultrasound, I had an appointment with my OBGYN the following day, and then she told me that, our chances of having a baby with Down syndrome increased again because when they measured the baby's arms and legs, they were telling us that it's basically shorter than her abdomen area, like the middle area, and that's more common with babies with Down syndrome. My husband didn't get to go to that appointment because it was like the start of COVID, and with all the restrictions, only I was allowed to go in. So when I got into the car, I was just, crying a lot, and he was trying to calm me down and ask me what happened, and took me a few minutes to just um, be able to explain to him what the doctor told me. And I think it was after that moment that I felt like, this baby most likely probably has Down syndrome than not. So I was just overwhelmed with so much emotions, and I just couldn't stop crying, and which led to my contractions the next morning, and I went into labor and delivery. So when we got to the hospital, they checked me and they told me that I'm 5 centimeters dilated, and that was at 12 o'clock. And if I wanted to get the epidural, because they put me in the room right away, and I regretfully had refused the epidural because I thought, I'm already 5 centimeters in, I'm already halfway there, I could probably do this without the epidural. But then around 6.5 centimeters, I started screaming and crying for the epidural because the pain was just unbearable for me at that point. So when I got the epidural, my blood pressure dropped really low, and I literally felt like I was leaving the world. It took them, I don't know if it was seconds or a minute, to basically normalize my blood pressure. And after 30 minutes, I started to feel pain on one side of my body. And I told the nurse, and I was like, is this normal to feel pain again? And she was like, no. So then they brought in the person that did the epidural, and she took a look and was like, the epidural went the wrong way. And they had to remove it, and then second time they had to put an epidural. So the second time they put the epidural in, I finally stopped feeling pain. And by 11 p.m. when they checked me, they told me that I was 10 centimeters and I could start pushing. Izza was born at 11:37 p.m. And when I saw her, I instantly fell in love with her. I stopped. I didn't even thinking Down syndrome. I was even I couldn't think of anything except for just her, and how in love I am with her, and that I get to finally hold her, finally see her, because I really needed that moment. Once they took her to go weigh her and stuff, the pediatrician pulled my husband aside and I guess was talking to him. I couldn't hear the conversation, but then my husband told me later that the pediatrician says that our baby has the characteristics or features of babies with Down syndrome. So she said that we need to get her tested to know for sure. So the next day they took Izza to get her blood work done and to also check her heart to make sure that she didn't have any heart conditions or defects. When the doctor came in to let us know that her heart has 2 small holes and that it's nothing to be super concerned about or anything, because they suspected that it would just close on its own since they were so small. But she would have to get annually checked by a cardiologist until they no longer heard a murmur or anything like that. And then we had to just wait for the blood test. So we got a call from the pediatrician about 10 days after Izza was born. And they told us to come in so they can talk about the test results. So when we got there, they told us only one parent is allowed to go in with the baby. At that time, I was not doing well because I had the side effects of the epidural, so I had really bad spinal headaches. I told my husband, you go in and then you can FaceTime me. So once he went in and he FaceTimed me, the doctor came in and he introduced himself, and then he told us straight away, I'm gonna cut to the chase. Basically, your daughter has Down syndrome. And then he kept talking, but I couldn't hear anything else. I just went blank because I finally heard the words. I finally heard a confirmation of her having Down syndrome. I guess I was relieved, and at the same time I was sad and just upset, and it was like a mix of all these different emotions. Um, and of course, the fear of like the unknown of like what does it mean to have a baby with Down syndrome. So then he continued talking, and I started paying attention when he was telling us like what she's gonna be able to do and what she may not be able to do, or how delayed children with Down syndrome are. Um, Basically, he was telling us that we may be lucky if she starts, writing her name in elementary school. That she may not walk till she's like about 3. Um, it's just a lot of stuff that you didn't like. It was a lot of stuff that me and my husband didn't expect to hear, because we thought, our kid will be just like any other kid. We'll probably hit the milestones similar to any other kid. So to hear all of these things at the same time, knowing that your child has Down syndrome, was really hard. So after that appointment, it took me about a week to process it all and to finally get over like the crying phase and just to start enjoying, having my baby. And I believe when Izza was about 2.5 months, she pretty much changed my entire perspective on everything, because she started rolling on her own at 2.5 months. And when that happened, I called her doctor and I was like, Izza's rolling on her own at 2.5 months. Like, even typical kids probably don't roll at 2.5 months. So how is this even possible? And they were also shocked, but they didn't really have anything to say. They were just like, that's a good thing that she's rolling at 2.5 months. And I think after that, I was like, I'm going to take it day by day, and I'm going to let Izza lead us, because every child is different. So it was after that experience that I learned to not lower my expectations from her, to make sure that I don't set limits, and to just let her lead us, because she is her own person, she's her own unique person, and she's like capable of many things. The fact that she did that was like a miracle for me, because after being told everything, I didn't think that was possible. So after that experience, I knew that Izza was capable of a lot of things, and that I shouldn't, lower my expectations from her. That's when I started to do even more research. I just started to dig deeper, looking into children with Down syndrome that have, done amazing things, like have accomplished great things that, typical medical professionals would tell you otherwise. Thankfully, I did come across a really great resource, which was the Institutes. It was a course, and it's by Doman, I believe. He also has a bunch of books. It's on Amazon as well. I will link them here. Basically, in his course, they teach you how to be the expert of your own child. That really, really, really helped me. It really opened my eyes to just allowing Izza to have every opportunity to be able to achieve what she wants to achieve. So that course really helped me, because it opened up my eyes, and it taught me that, I shouldn't limit her, and I should basically give her every opportunity that she needs in order to get to the next step, or to achieve her highest potential. And then I also reached out to the moms who have children with Down syndrome through Instagram. I went through like the hashtags, and I found some families, and I reached out to them. I asked them a lot of questions. They were super, super nice and very helpful. I am forever grateful for their time, because they taught me so much. And because of those families, I chose to also document our journey. And hopefully our journey will be just as helpful to another family. And that's pretty much the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to comment below if you have any questions. And I'm going to try to upload hopefully at least twice a week. Feel free to follow our journey and share it. Thank you so much. Bye.